Beautiful Monday morning. We thank you so very much for keeping a date with us on the ultimate news and current affairs program on television, TMR. We continue our conversations reviewing the outcomes of the just concluded Presidential, National Assembly, Governorship, and State Houses of Assembly election. Of course, the postponed election for the Governorship and State Houses of Assembly election held on Saturday, the 18th day of March. And as we speak today, results have been coming forth from the different states and different constituencies of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Well, we have our first set of guests on this segment of the show. With me on set, I'd like to thank very especially former member of the Oredo Legislative Assembly, Comrade Harrison Ezeko. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
We also have with us here in the studio a former governorship candidate under the platform of one of the political parties, but now the state chairman of the Senate Labour Party, is an author and public affairs commentator, Dr. Bishop Akhalame. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, International. Good morning, viewers.
We have with us in the studio the president of Network of Civil Society Organization at those state, Engineer Emmanuel Ogbidi. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, and good morning, viewers.
Okay, Harrison, let's tee off with you on the last set of elections. INEC promised to improve based on the outcomes of the presidential election. But from the reports and the results, okay, let's talk about the reports from the field and the stories that are coming in. It looks like expectations were not met. Do you feel this way as well?
Well, the election is still ongoing. The results are still coming. And to talk about the preparation of INEC, but personally for me, I'm disappointed anyway because there is not too much different from what they did at the presidential election, apart from in some areas where they said they were able to upload the results online. And we are still aware from information at our disposal of some areas, it still did not work. And that was a major issue at the presidential election, where INEC had promised Nigerians that they were going to announce this result will be electronically. You can access it and get it. That is where the suspicion coming. But now what we are seeing so far, the violence is not an INEC issue, and when those are problems with political parties with interests, and you cannot blame INEC for that. But in terms of preparation by and large, from what they have announced, not until people begin to say that this is the position, we cannot begin to say that what they have announced is not the true reflection of what happened. It's only when those who were part of that election, who were contestants, now come out to say that the election was rigged. That's the only way you cannot blame them that they didn't do the right thing. But for me, the logistics in some areas, they came out on time. In some areas, what happened before also happened again. Okay. That means they don't really sit down to look at the defect of the presidential election to correct what they were supposed to do. The only correction we can see is from where I monitor that they were able to send the results to their electronically from the voting point. And it's not all areas, because some areas they said there's no network. In some areas, the people in charge doesn't even know what to do. And they have to start calling their EO, calling different people, explain to them what they are supposed to do. I think that it's too early to blame them for the outcome of this election that took place on Saturday, except when those who contested the election begin to tell us this is what happened, then we cannot take our position.
All right, Dr. Akhalame, yes, you quickly build on that.
Yeah, thank you very much, National.
Yeah.
You see, we cannot say our expectation before the election. We are almost met. Let me just say 100. Let me just say 80%. Because I actually was one of those who were actually questioning the integrity of the commission, INEC. But I can say that what we have seen so far, there is improvement in the performance of the commission. I have said to people that there's no man who can achieve perfection. It's only God. So when you have near perfection, that's what you can have. And that's what INEC has done. As for me, INEC position and performance in this election is overwhelming. Overwhelming. Now, compared to what has happened in the past, where somebody will have about 10 voters cards, he will use them. He will vote. You go to a small state, and the vote that will be coming from that state, you will marvel. You'll be hearing millions. But did you hear that in this election? So, with the emergence of beavers, the usage of beavers by the commission have been able to reduce those electoral fraud. So, what has happened in the field? You cannot blame INEC in all of this. Because today, the electionary process in Nigeria has been overtaken by thuggery and violence by desperate politicians. Is that INEC? It is not. These are people, you know why I'm happy? The voters are now more sophisticated. They now know what they want. They have been full for a very long time. The consciousness, the knowledge, the education is now there. That if you don't have what it takes to drive the economy, we don't give you our vote. So as a result, they go to the field, they vote for whosoever they want. But where our problem in this election is that majority of the desperate politicians mobilize, they have been training their thugs, mobilize thugs to the field, victimizing and maiming what? Voters. In some places, those who wanted to vote could not cast their vote. They were denied of their civil responsibility as citizens of this country because some people are very desperate. I don't just know where they put their conscience. As a politician, honesty must be a virtue you must hold like a goalkeeper. But in this part of the world, honesty have been discarded. They don't see it as anything. How will somebody in the same mind go to where they are voting, steal a ballot box, victimize people, get a bike, and run away with that box, and you are happy, and you will win the election, you will be celebrating and won an election? Don't you have a conscience? Because most times, when you have done something wrong, your conscience will say, come on, you have done wrong, and you will not be happy. You see that jubilating. Okay. Then you cannot stay with ourselves. Okay. You see what happened in the state? All
right, we'll come back to that. Okay. But let's get your opening lines, Emmanuel Ogbidi. Yeah.
Yes, you see, we are going to try our best to kind of, demystify when we start talking about the performance of INEC. We have the general performance, and that has its own idea. And when we begin to trickle down to the various locations and see what happened, then we'll begin to look at it from a very clearer perspective. Having said that, I would say generally that INEC to a very large extent were seen to have breached their own rules. That ordinarily and primarily is a very big question that will make every Nigerian to wonder if this is an institution that billions of naira of taxpayers' money were voted to in order to conduct a free, fair, and credible election. Because election in itself is a process. It is not just about the outcome. No, it is about the process. If you tell me as a commissioner, as an umpire, that in this election, results will be electronically transmitted from the polling unit, and everybody, every player, every stakeholder, as a matter of fact, is holding onto that very key word from the umpire. And while the game is on, before the end of the game, you see the rules being shifted. Like during the middle of a football match, the goalposts have been shifted. Then it calls for suspicion. It calls for the reduction of the confidence of the people on the umpire. That is what INEC has suffered after the presidential election. So a lot of people went into the state governorship election and the House of Assembly election with very reduced confidence on INEC as to whatever happens, let's go there and take it that way. So if you look at it generally and holistically, I would say if it were to be in a sane society, by now, we would have seen the INEC chairman resigning because he has not been able to meet the standard with which he told Nigerians that the election were going to be performed. Then we are also going to look down. Let's look at the
INEC chairman resigning. Under this same INEC, we've seen a lot of upsets in this election. So what is not the justification for calling for the INEC chairman's resigning?
Now we look at it from this perspective.
Yes.
You see, the bus stops at the court or at the table of the chairman. If we have issue in the area of logistics, we are going to call the chairman because we had time to prepare, to have logistical preparations. If we have issues as to the knowledge of the ad hoc staff that were deployed, of which was in very many occasions, it was very rampant. We saw ad hoc staff being confused, not knowing what to do in many areas and instances. If we had issue as to the level of knowledge of the ad hoc staff, we are going to call the chairman. If we had issue as in the aspect of technology, in the aspect of ICT, which was largely the bane of the reason of suspicion from very many people on INEC, the aspect of technology, the aspect of ICT, we are going to question the integrity of those that the chairman has saddled with the responsibility to handle the aspect of ICT. So if you look at it holistically, the boss stops at the table of the chairman, so he has to take the blame. And if he failed in any area, it is his responsibility.
All right, let's now cascade our conversation deeper into some of the information that are coming forth from the field. In this election, there was a report on Saturday about how an ad hoc chairman of ad hoc staff of INEC was allegedly killed in Calabar, Cross River State. And then there was also a story about how a party chairman was attacked by thugs in Ebonyi State, and he died in the process. And these are some of the stories that are coming. How come in the presidential and National Assembly election, we didn't see much of these things? Ballot box snatching, destruction of ballot papers and all of that. But it now became more prevalent, more prominent, more visible in the governorship and state houses of assembly election. Let's start off with you again on this, Harrison.
Well, what we are saying now is not that it was not really there at the presidential election, but at the state level, it was increased. The reason is very clear because most of these states are being governed by the state governor, and some of them were going for their second term in office, and some are leaving office, and some also wanted to make sure that they have the state of assembly in place. And I think for me, I think it's a passionate and it's desperation. I don't think killing or trying to make sure you force your way will be the best thing for the people in the state. Yes, the game have changed with the advent of this obedient movement. Before it used to be two-party, PDP, APC. But with the coming in of this new movement, it's not sharing the vote. The block vote is no longer coming. So some of these players are trying to devise a means to make sure they will be able to garner votes to themselves. And you see them in this manner. It's desperation because you want to make sure you succeed. You want to make sure your candidate win. You want to make sure that you on your own, a governor that is going for second tenure, want to make sure that he wins the election. I think it's not the best for our democracy. Whatever we're doing, such a person, they should begin to think that there's always a life after this government. It happens also in River State. You have seen where governor will come out openly, threatening people. If you don't do this, I will do this. I will kill, I will do this. Because a meeting covered them at that particular time. I think that when some of these persons leave office, some of these nemesis should visit them. Because for now, as a sitting governor, there's nothing you can do. The desperation for some governor is just too much. And some of them don't even do, they do it openly. They say it and nothing will happen. But they are not God. I think the lesson is that every person, those who are fighting for political office, those who want to we should remember that going into political office is to go and represent the people. If the people say at this time they don't need you, I don't think somebody should die. Jonathan said that his second tenant does not worry of anybody.
Yeah.
And the man humbly conceded to defeat. I think that should be an example for Nigerians, governors, every other person to follow. I know that if there will be some other person that were city president at that time, maybe we will not have country called Nigeria today because of desperation. So for me, it's a personal thing. Because you want to hold on to power and you don't want to leave. Nothing lasts forever. Whatever at the beginning must have an end. If it's too much, it's 8 years. And by the time you live there, you have another life to live. Okay. I think consciously we should all come back home as every individual, whether you are a governor or any position you want to contest for, just sit down and say, okay, without this thing, can I live another life? And one of the major reasons is that because some persons are taking politics as a profession. Like I keep telling people that politics is not a profession. If you don't have any other work you do outside politics, then you become desperate because they want to remove food from your table. Okay. So somebody have to die so that you can sustain it. Every human being will always protect where he's getting money from.
Interest.
It's normal. Where you work, you must protect your job. If you are here now, if you decide to say, okay, let me go my way and begin to do some certain things, the owner of the place will tell you, you cannot go against the interest of where your sources come from. Okay. But when it comes to public office, we must understand that it is a constitutional thing. It is the people. If the people say no, why not stay aside first and see why these people are rejecting you at this time? But Nigerians don't think like that. In a developed country, when the people say no, the people on their own will just quietly say, I'm no longer interested. But here, he rather die there than to make sure that he live honorably. I have not seen any Nigerian politician that will resign from office. I don't think that will happen in this present generation we find ourselves. Okay. But the lesson is that let's not see power as a way of, as an instrument to now bring down people or to destroy other people because of that power. Because one day that power will end.
All right, Dr. Akalame. The feedbacks from the governorship and state house of assembly election has been adduced to the outcomes of the presidential and national assembly election, where several sitting governors lost their states, and some who even had ambitions of going to the National Assembly lost those opportunities. Can you leverage on that?
Yes, just like in my inauguration, when I started with my speech, I told you initially that the people are now, their eyes are now open. They now understand that the power is with them. The mandate rests with the people. That once you have the PVC, you are a custodian of power. You decide who leads you. You decide who becomes your leader. With the emergence of the movement, the obedient movement is what has changed the game. That before now, because it was all about two political parties, even you media, you know my word, during the election, I said two major political parties, you say PDP and APC. Even we know that it makes us angry, but we know that the game has changed.
That's the reality.
What is it the reality? It's no longer reality now.
At that time, it was the reality.
It's no longer reality.
No, at that time, it's the reality.
Do you know why I was happy?
No.
That each time I see a media has said two major political parties, that news is not complete.
It's very complete. Let me tell you. Hold on. Let me just let you in. It's very complete because even in civilized climes, that's what obtains. In UK, you have two major political parties. In the US, you have two major political parties. It doesn't take away the fact that you don't have other political parties. The onus is on those political parties to raise their game and rise above all of these shortcomings.
Can I come in now?
Yes, it's not enough to say, oh, the media didn't create it. No. It was the reality.
It is the creation of the media.
It's not the creation of the media.
That's why I am not always happy, because we have 80 political parties.
It's not about whether you are happy or not. That's the reality. I spoke with the national chairman of the Labour Party. Yeah. And one of the questions that I asked him was that you're saying that, the election did not go in your favor. But it was on a good authority that in the provision of party agents at the polling units, you didn't have the right number. Wasn't that a great disservice? What did he say? He said, yes, he acknowledged the fact that they were about 30,000 short of the requisite number of party agents.
To protect the
but
interests.
another political party now offered to adopted their candidate to support their candidate at the presidential election. That party now made up for the shortcoming. You see, two parties coming together to form that alliance was what gave them the capacity to even provide enough polling agent, as it were. But the other political parties didn't have that problem. So it's not a creation of the media. We're talking reality. So if you're angry because the media makes reference to two major political parties, it's not our making. It is the creation of the political party.
That's why,
so let's stay on course.
That's why you will always be there to do the right thing.
Yes.
Now, the way it is right now, the consciousness of the people that the power is in our hands. We decide who become our leader. It's what have changed the narratives.
Yeah.
That's why today you now see governors. Before they'll see there at the office, don't worry. Don't worry, whether they like it or not, we still win. He says, sir, that road, the people are coming, don't bother yourself, the road will not stop, we will emerge again. The story has changed. The way it is right now, if you're a governor and you want to come back the second time and you're not working, forget it, you're not coming. That is why today they have deployed another method, which is detrimental to our democratic process, which is political thuggery and violence. That where we are not winning, take the ballot box, destroy the place, make the people, victimize them. That is why we are making a very passionate appeal to the security agents. This is a call to them to intensify efforts in future elections. You cannot be a police officer, you are standing. A thug will just come, grab the ballot box, he will run away, it's not gone down. Then why are you there as a security, as a police officer, or as a military man? That is the reason why you are there. Such people are enemy of democracy. Do you know why I'm surprised right now? Our leaders have been able to, I don't know, they are not practicing a different brand of democracy associated with thuggery and violence because of desperation. Have you not seen now that if you don't have what it takes to improve on the quality of life of the people, you cannot be a leader? That was why yesterday I said to somebody, I said, why are these people celebrating? You want an election, you are celebrating. You are not supposed to be celebrating as if you won a jackpot or celebrating as if you won an American lottery. It is not your office. The office belongs to the people. If actually the people voted for you, the people should be in position to celebrate that we have voted for him. This is our choice. Well, we believe in his capacity that he will deliver. Hence, our votes counted. Then let us rejoice. They will rejoice celebrating as if you've gotten a job. Because once you are there, it's a task, very tedious task. Coming in to fix the people's problem. Then if you have won an election now, you just sit down. You don't have a template. You don't have the roadmap. You don't have you don't have something on your head. You are bringing to the table. You can just, before they swear you in, resign. Resign, because government is not for people, it's not for mediocres. It's for professionals. People can think out of the box. People can find solutions to problems. Because a lot of problems are in this country. That's why today, after this election, we are happy that leaders have emerged. What is next? Solution to this problem. So if you don't have solution to our problems, then that means it was a mistake for the very beginning to even buy the farm. Because like what he said just now, so many people have seen politics in Nigeria as a business venture where you can put your money and expect profits. And you forgot that you are coming in there to work for the people. A servant leader. You're not coming there as a lord or to boss the people. The people have spoken again. Okay. You say what will happen, why this thuggery and this increase in this election? The obedient movement, what happened in February 25th, took them by surprise. They were thinking it was just a social media movement. When it happened, you saw the tsunami, the way it was going. So many governors became very afraid. I pray this thing will not get to me. We have to ensure that it does not happen. So they have to map out strategies to ensure that nobody remove them from the office. But what is important is that the mandate, the power, rests with the people.
All right, Engineer Ogbidi, desperation seems to have taken over the polity in the governorship and state houses of assembly election. What's your take on this?
Yes, it is very obvious. And you see, ordinarily, performance should be the basis of your campaign. If, for example, you have been a sitting governor and you are returning, what should campaign for you ordinarily should be what you have done with the first mandate that was given to you by the people. But in any location or in any place where you begin to see desperation, it's a clear sign of failure of governance and that administration. And the rejection that we have seen in the various aspects, where you see governors that are going back to the National Assemblies being rejected, and you see governors even being unseated, like we have in the northern state. Now, it is very clear that the political awareness of the people are now beginning to increase. Desperation is now beginning to increase for those who thought that politics in Nigeria is business as usual. But ordinarily, it is now beginning to come to the know of every politician and every political leader that your ticket to returning or getting the mind and the will of the people is about your performance. But I will quickly say this, that 3 institutions in this country will help us salvage our electoral process and uphold our democracy. 1 is the INEC. 2 is the police. And when I say police, by extension, now the security agency as an institution. And 3, the judiciary. Because politicians will always tell you, let's do what we want to do, rig the election, and let whosoever is aggrieved go to court. Why? Because they believe that when they go to court, they also have their way through the judiciary or by whatsoever means. They believe if they want to rig the election, they have the security agencies in their hands. That even at the presence of the security agencies, what will happen will still happen. So security agency no longer guarantees security during election. Electoral umpire no longer guarantee free, fair, and credible process during election. Judiciary no longer guarantee, even with evidence to a large extent, the outcome of any case that is brought before them. Then you give access to political rascality. What therefore should the people do? As the people is beginning to increase in the aspect of electoral or political awareness, where you see they now know that their PVC is their power, and with their PVC they can reject or they can dethrone a leader. They also have to increase in their political security consciousness. That means that whenever any election is coming, as the people prepare their PVC in their locality and in their various community, they should prepare for their local security. They should prepare and wait for political thuggeries. They should wait for those who wants to come and snatch ballot box, because the police alone, we only get the morale to do the right thing when they discover that the people are ready to stand and wait for them, and even put them among the political thugs if they are not careful. The thugs are not big, are not more than the people. The security agencies sometimes that are used in this election are not more than the people. So the destiny to rescue Nigeria and to rescue and salvage our political system now lies in the hands of Nigerians and Nigerian people. They must wake up. Take for example, we saw what happened in some states where talks, even before election, there were statements of threat. During even the election day, you see persons moving around the street. If you will not vote for a particular political party, don't come out. We saw that in various places. And we also saw in a certain place where the people mobilized. They came, they were prepared, some had their dogs ready, and some were waiting with their sticks, should in case there is an invasion. And there was an invasion, but there was a kind of resistance from the people, and it is the resistance of the people that gave morale to the security agency to come, even after the people have done the job. So, having raised the political tempo and awareness of our people, the political awareness of our people and their strength when it comes to the use of their PVC, Going into the next election, we must begin to raise the awareness of political consciousness and security of the people, so that they will wait to resist any form of hijacking or thuggery or whatsoever insecurity that comes to them. That is how we will go, and we'll get it politically, we'll get it in terms of security. Then the judiciary will help us do the last one.
Fantastic. I had an interaction with the State Resident Electoral Commissioner, and I raised the issue of security challenges that usually arises from polling units. And people have talked about the issue of electoral violence as one of the major reasons, deterring majority of Nigerians from participating in an electoral process. And it was of the opinion that the deployment of security agencies is to maintain law and order. Now, in any case, if a security man goes to a polling unit and is armed, maybe there is an infraction, and somebody gets shot and maybe killed in the process, that will undermine the entire political process, because people will scamper for safety. And at the end of the day, the election may not take place. So on the part of INEC, I'm not trying to hold brief for them. The thinking is, which is better? To be able to manage the situation in such a way and manner that people vote, or to perhaps meet fire for fire, as they say, in dealing with that issue, which ultimately could undermine the entire process in such a way and manner that maybe the election may not take place. But I'd like to get your perspective on the issue of electoral violence and the best approach to deal with it, because we have seen that in several places, even in those states, there were cases of ballot box snatching. Thugs would just invade, shoot sporadically into the air. People scamper for safety. They steal beavers, they steal ballot box, as the case may be. In Ohogwa community, that incident was reported. At Agbado Primary School or so, that incident was, several places that, in fact, these are stories that are bound as far as this governorship and state house of assembly election is concerned. Yeah.
Well, like I said before, it's desperation. First, INEC have responsibility to conduct election. The issue of security during the election is not primarily the responsibility of INEC.
Okay.
Because security issue in Nigeria is that when you deploy personnel to these various polling units, and this personnel take directive from a particular commander or CP, and that is where the problem lies. Because if this is if it's a police center, you have personnel who are not armed. The law does not allow them to take arm to the police center. So they are on there just to maintain. If there are issues, they will call the next point. Those who are moving around the area, who are armed, to come for rescue, to settle the issues that are there. And many a times, most of these personnel, they are not enough. The numbers are not enough. At that point, you might be calling one that particular time who is within a particular area, and those groups have also moved to another location. And the issue of directive is a major issue. Because if you see those people, if they go there now, even the person you are calling, do you even know the direction of that person? Do you even know that if you are giving that person the information that something is happening here, do you know if you are reporting yourself? Because that is the situation we are finding ourselves. So they are human beings too. For me, I commend their effort.
Okay.
And if we want this country to run the way we want it to be, every institution, the judiciary, the security apparatus must be ready to do what is right.
Okay.
This issue of the way you are inducing voters, the same way some of these security personnel also induced financially to also do the bidding. Most time, security comes from up. The presidency is in charge of security. The CP gives a directive through the commissioner. And most time, the state government cannot even control the security personnel.
The CP, for example.
You can't control them because it does not take directive from you. So if you already have a mindset, you already have a directive that this is what we want you to do, or they already have a sympathy for a particular political party. So what you see them do is holding fight as if it's joining one side to fight. They will just do, you see them rush down, maybe even arrest the people As they move out of that place, they will release him and tell them to go. Then later they'll go and pick innocent persons and parade them. So Nigeria have is a system failure.
Okay.
The security on their home, there are issues. Okay. Judiciary have issues. Then the governors himself, the presidency, the governor, those who are in charge have issues. And then the followers on their own have another major issue. For any moment from now, the lawyers will be making money. People litigation, they will go to court. But mind you, some persons will still detain the persons of most of those litigation. It was in this country, in this state, that the matter was before Supreme Court. One federal court in Abuja was giving judgment of an issue that is before Supreme Court to tell you how we have bastardized our institution because of money. Okay. So we are in a sorry state. What we are doing now that with this new movement, if the tempo can be sustained, if we sustain it from the issue of governance, if the right people come into power, they will be able to work on these various institutions and make it work. Because I tell you, we have too many bad legs inside
Dr.
the
Akalame, I've heard people talk about the insecurity challenge in our electoral process, particularly as it relates to electoral violence, that if we had state police, perhaps that would be the panacea to finding lasting solution to this problem. Emmanuel Gbidi made mention of something in that direction, that the people, apart from being conscientized and mobilized for election, they have to also find a way to provide security cover for their polling units, as the case may be. How realistic is that?
Well, it's even more dangerous to allow governors to have their security outfits, because whether we like it or not, based on what we see today, where we now have so many political desperados in Nigeria, they may use this security outfit to their advantage, to victimize voters, to ensure that they emerge winners in such election. The only thing we have to say is this. It is a message we have to send to everybody. It is not just the security right now. Why we are even talking about the security agencies is that this is happening and you are there. You've refused to do something, or because message comes from somewhere. Okay. It is not even the right thing. What we should do is that if we are doing the right thing, all of us are doing the right thing, there will be no need for security. Okay. That is why voters' education, even after this election now, we have to make sure that we begin to start in Edo State ahead of the governorship election. That the people must understand that you must not kill yourself because of a politician. You must not kill somebody because of a politician. It doesn't want it.
Okay.
Because there's no amount of money a politician will give to you that will take you away out of poverty. Because if you have the right people in political offices who can handle the economy, reactivate and sustain the economy, even when you sell sachet water, you make money. You can change your life. You can own a car, build a house, train your children, live a better life. Okay. But by the time you are tied to the apple string of these desperate politicians who have nothing to offer this country, they will give you 5,000 naira to go and destabilize polling units, and you go in there. Some of them are even kids. They are kids. Yeah. So you will not say that all the effort your parents put in bringing you into this life, all the investments made on you become a waste. To them, it's zero investment. The return on investment is zero. So we begin to talk to ourselves that we must be united on common purpose. We begin to see Nigeria as a project. Nigeria must be big. The Nigeria as a project must be bigger than every other project, either political or the leader you are supporting.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
if there is no Nigeria, there will be no political parties, and there will be no leaders.
Let me take a final point from you.
Yes, you see, a wise man once said, never a time where freedom has been freely given to the oppressed by the oppressor, but the oppressed must demand for their freedom. Take, for example, before this election, there were intelligence, feeders of security threats in various areas and flashpoints. what did our security agency do with those intelligence? In different areas, we saw that even before the election, there were cases of violence. What that suggests to a security agency or an institution of security apparatus that is sincere is to do what? Is to have a special recognition area in that area and make provision to handle any eventuality such that even though they are not in the polling unit, in 2 minutes, if there is a distress call, in 2 minutes, there will be adequate response. Okay. But we saw that in places, there were situations where security agencies were called, even 1 hour, 30 minutes before the eventual incident, but none of them showed up. Now, what that suggests to us is this. If there is consciousness and security consciousness on the side of the people, even the thugs that are coming to that area, we have a routine. Take, for example, somewhere in Lagos where we had those issues where the thugs were chased. Yeah. I can assure you that in a lifetime, there will never be thuggery invasion in that area again, because they know that the consciousness of the people, the security consciousness of the people is high, and they are ready to resist any form of insecurity. Okay. So that is the area.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I want to thank you especially for the views and thoughts and opinions you've canvassed as far as our review of the 2023 election is concerned, from the presidential through governorship, National Assembly, as well as the state houses of assembly election. Iman Ogbidi, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Dr. Bishop Akalame, thank you. Harrison Zeko, thank you. Well, we return after the break. We'll be talking more on the outcomes of the 2023 general election, looking at specifics, some of the states, what happened at the presidential, and what is happening in the governorship and state houses of assembly election. Please stay with us. We'll be back with you in a moment on TMI Monday.